You're down, but you're not out. In this video, I'm looking at how to rebuild self-esteem when life has knocked you about. It's put you down, but I'm a best-selling author and I'm a lit guy. I've been there myself. So I'm going to look at the research now and all of the science together with my thoughts and analysis throughout. Firstly, let's look at how you're damaging your self-esteem. I'm no good, but I'll never be any better. That could be the thoughts of you if you have a low self-esteem, because according to Orse and Robbins researchers, they've looked at adolescence through to the 20s, nearly adulthood, where self-esteem is growing and it peaks at about 50 years of age. And then in old age, believe it or not, it's similar to adolescence where it wanes down. So how can we fix it? We fix it by self-awareness. The first step in addressing low self-esteem is to recognize and acknowledge its presence. And therein, that piece of research just gives you a fantastic scope at which to look out for the drop in your self-esteem. Now, fixing it involves identifying negative thoughts and beliefs about oneself, about yourself. Think of your physical body. If we think of the trajectory there of what the researchers said, we can see how adolescents have often huge problem with their body image, how we develop sometimes very awkwardly. One part of the body goes longer and faster than the other, and then it catches up eventually in adulthood. And in old age as well, you become more decrepit and stooped over, and wrinkles, grey hairs and so on begin to show. So being more aware of your changes in your body and of course in your mind, these negative thoughts are huge. Identify triggers as well. Really important. Why? Because triggers will push you towards feelings of having these negative thoughts in the first place. So pay attention to any situations or feelings of being around the wrong people who look at you just for your looks, look and address you just because of a certain age group. Ageism is another thing. So understand these triggers and know that individually and collectively you can develop coping strategies. Collectively, of course, with people maybe your own age, or people who have a lower self-esteem, if there's a group out there, a support group, and know that your underlying issues of the triggers that can come along can contribute to negative self-perception as well. Challenge yourself. Challenge negative thoughts by reframing them. If you can reframe them, just kind of tilt them a little away, and then you'll see them from like a 3D version from a different angle, and you'll know that maybe not everybody sees you in this way. And in fact, maybe people see your depth, your wisdom, your maturity, and all the different things. Even as an adolescent, you might be mature and have more depth than somebody that's 20 years older than you, for sure. Instead of accepting self-critical thoughts about your value, question the accuracy and the objective validity. So think, hey, is there proof? People say I'm stupid, but am I actually stupid? I'm passing all my tests in school. So how could I be actually seen as stupid? Look for evidence that contradicts negative beliefs and replace them then with more realistic and positive affirmations. Take it from where you are to where you can improve naturally or with the ability that you're God-given, that you have rightfully. Another one is to build self-compassion. Start by perhaps looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, this is what I am. Here's the age I'm at. Here's the status I'm at. Here's where my relationships are at. Now, what do I want to change? Think about it. Have a conversation with yourself in the mirror and think about that. And then sprinkle it with kindness, understanding and acceptance of where you are at the moment. Give yourself logical aims and goals to go forward with. Regard your self-esteem, especially in moments of failure or self-doubt. You have to cushion that belief. You are with yourself 24/7, 7 days a week, 12 months a year, all the years of your life. So you need that acceptance. You need to recognize that everybody makes mistakes. We all do. And we do have setbacks. There's roadblocks in the way, and we have to be able to accept that, to build and reframe things for ourselves. When I say to, even as an older person, and that self-esteem perhaps is crumbling or challenging yourself, that you must have goals. They can be small, minute and short-term goals, but you have to set realistic ones. If you do, then these, even if they're larger and longer term, You can break them down into subsets, smaller types of goals in that they're more achievable steps, and celebrate each one of them because you are making progress. Remember, your self-esteem is largely surrounded by self-perception. So any progress along the way is self-assessed, even if you're objectively thinking about things. Setting realistic goals helps build confidence and a thing called self-efficacy, which can give you that sense of accomplishment and knowing that, hey, I'm good here. I can go forward in some way. Because at the end of it all, this is what we want to do. We want to focus, and that's the next thing, on our strengths. By focusing on our strengths, we're identifying what it is that I am good at. My talents, my innate abilities, perhaps my abilities. Mentally, the strength I have with regard to things, the way I can think about certain things or talk about certain things, even if you're aging and your body is wilting a little bit on you. So look at those strengths, look at your relationships, things that you've invested in over the years, draw off those in later years or in years when you feel that you don't have that self-esteem. When you're younger, of course, perhaps look at your dreams, look at your physical abilities, what you can do to change things. You have that energy going forward. If you have a goal and you are taking action, even if you are failing, you are further forward than everybody else, because by failing, you are learning, and by learning, you're building a huge ability to be more resilient in the future. Have people around you as much as possible at all times. That would give you support. Seek it if you're not receiving it. It is worth a lot of money by having the right people in your corner. So reach out to friends, family members, tell them how you feel. Try to get that empathy piece going on. By giving, you will receive. If you give of yourself and share where you're at in a certain moment, there will be somebody out there that will put their arms around you, if only emotionally, if only momentarily, and come in and say, like, okay, you're at this point now, we want to move forward. Let's try and make a plan here. And that's a goal. That's a way of strategizing. Practice self-care. Prioritize this because it activates physical, emotional, mental wellness and well-being by exercising, even if you're growing older, to your capabilities, by eating a better diet and having and making sure you have the proper sleep, and knowing that stresses and strains will come your way. So therefore have relaxation techniques that you can draw upon, and even hobbies, distractions, things that will give you fulfillment and a helping hand along the way. Limit your negative influences too, because negativity is not required, especially if you are feeling that the self-esteem is on the wane. You deserve better. You can do better by putting all of these things into your concoction of proactive well-being. You'll be able to develop a better self-esteem. And if not, seek professional help, medical people, and so on that are out there certified, qualified, and well experienced. Now that we've learned about how we can damage our self-esteem, we need to look at and figure out how to finally love yourself. Oh, what the hell? Who did that? Same hand. Oh, I need to love myself, and that's what we're looking at right now. In 1939, believe it or not, researcher William Allinson looked at how modern culture is perceived by taboo selfishness. It teaches, he thought at the time, us to be selfish, and that selfish is sinful, and that loving ourselves is virtuous. What about things that have happened since then? Let's look at practicing self-acceptance. By accepting yourself as you are right now, in this world right now, and far later than 1939 for sure, look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses, look at your flaws and your imperfections, and just say, look, that's it. I'm me. I can't be any different. I have this shaped nose, I have these shaped ears. It is what it is. And put your energy then into improving where you are with yourself, in your personality, in yourself, into your mind, developing cognitive skills, developing how you think, developing how you can prepare the world for yourself. The next one, and where we can look at ourselves and loving ourselves more, is practicing self-compassion. Very closely linked to the first one. But if you treat yourself with kindness and compassion and understand, especially during difficult times or when you're facing challenges, this is going to be a real game changer. You want to be able to accept yourself the way you are, know your identity, because this is a huge thing for people. And once you identify with something that, by the way, will not just be your identity at 20 years of age, but will be at 40, 60, 80, and so on, you're not going to be the same successful athlete, for example, at 20 years of age, as you will be in your old age. So the longer you really core down and drill down into what you are as a human being, you can sustain that belief throughout the life course for 60, 80 plus years. Find out exactly as much as you can when you're young, and then love yourself for it. Have that compassion when you're facing challenges. Then be gentle with yourself and offer that same empathy that you would with others to yourself, so that you can support yourself, and that you would offer, if you had a friend in front of you, as true friend, look at yourself in the same way. A lot of people don't fill their own cup first. They look at trying to help others, and that's not good. When you do not have energy in the first place and you're not in a good place, you need to be able to have a good place for yourself as well. Setting boundaries is another one. Establish healthy boundaries. Why? Well, you want to protect your emotional and physical well-being. Your mind and your body are linked. And so if you're damaging yourself externally, physically, if you're taking too much alcohol, too many drugs, prescription drugs even, and you're abusing yourself in that way, it's affecting your emotions in the same way as that emotionally you can intake things, you can be around the wrong people, and suddenly physically you have a reaction, or you get angry, or you get tense, and that's not good either. Our body's not meant to be like that. So learn to say no to things, and don't align. If they don't align with your values, make sure you say no straight away. Don't even contemplate them. Don't even put them in your mind's eye. Know your values and your priorities. That goes back to your identity a lot as well. And prioritize self-care. Have that self-respect. Next thing is practice forgiveness. You're a great person. Right now, you're surviving. You're doing things well. So why not forgive yourself in the moment when things happen? Draw a line under it. If you learn from it, if you genuinely want to make a difference for yourself and for others, you forgive yourself for past mistakes and failures. And from there, you can actually have this acceptance. Rather than holding on to guilt, shame, or resentment, these things will just dig in to you. As I mentioned there, physically, things can come out. So let go of the past and focus on moving forward with compassion and self-acceptance. Practice self-care as well. Self-care is so important. If you prioritize it, then it will nourish your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit, every part of you. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. The basic things, at least 7 hours. Eat well. Educate yourself on eating and sleep. Educate yourself on exercise. We all need it. Spend more time in nature. Do the simple things that cost no money, but enable you to have a much better and the maximized self-care that you can have. Make sure that there's many techniques and hobbies out there that you can do, techniques to relax, techniques to be on your own, such as even reading or writing, things like that, and hobbies that will fulfill you socially and intimately too. Set realistic goals. Often we start going, gosh, I'd love to be on television. Gosh, I'd love to do this. I'd love to be in a circus. Be realistic with yourself. Maybe you don't have a good presentation skill. Maybe you don't have a good technique in walking a tightrope. Maybe you haven't done the hard graft that others have done to present themselves on television that have allowed a person to be in a circus. These things can happen from a very young age. Practice makes perfect for sure, but that doesn't mean to say you can't do that. But have realistic goals and know that you can attain them. You don't want to push things out so far in the future where they're just going to stretch you in the present time, and you're going to lose all your friends, and you're going to have so much time to catch up on what you should have done years and years ago to practice this tightrope-ology or these skills enabling you to be on a tightrope in the first place. So you want to make sure it's realistic and time bound, and so that you can attain it. That's being good to yourself as well. Engage in positive self-talk. Imagine the day, right, where you wake up in the morning and everything is positive coming in. All the external stuff is coming in and you're accepting it, and you start thinking positively and you put a positive spin on things and you start accepting things positively, and every thought is creative, every thought is imaginary, every thought is realistic, every thought is actionable, and there's no wasted energy. If you can just push the energy towards positive self-talk, that's what you're doing. You're plugging it in. You're saying this is more powerful. It's going to crush all the negative thoughts, because we do have negative thoughts, a lot of them, thousands of them every day. So we need to bring the ones to the top so that we can see them floating at the top. We don't know what's on the bottom. Then positive thoughts are going to guide us to a wonderful time. So really engage in definitely consciously, positively talking to yourself in a very, very bright manner. You have unique abilities, use them. That's loving yourself too. Surround yourself with wonderful, positive people. Support system is so important in this life. If you can get good supporters that will be by your side no matter what, that is what we're looking for. That is what will enable you to have a fantastic self-esteem, and these people in turn can be supported by you, and you tightening the relationships. You have great friends, then a tight family weave, and you even have mentorship as such. So seek out relationships and even communities and groups that will nurture your growth, your well-being, and your self-esteem. And if you do require it, even for a short time, seek professional help. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. This is a strength. This is what can help you in the long run and will help you for sure. A little bit of investment over the short term will create a lifetime of opening, creativity, of self-awareness, of self-love, and so on.
The trouble with our self-esteem can often be our inner critic. So let's look at how to turn your inner critic into a positive one. I hate myself. That is a reaction of a client of mine, and what they actually thought regularly when they were criticizing their inner voice, and they were suicidal at the time. Thankfully, we worked through it and things went well after that. They're alive and well and kicking. And that's what I want you to be with regard to this video. We'll look at how to be nice to yourself and your inner voice, just to put it to one side. One way of doing that is to recognize and acknowledge that if you start by becoming aware of your inner voice in the first place, that's actually there. Acknowledge it and recognize that it's part of you. It's there for a reason, but it doesn't define your entire identity. And that reason, by the way, doesn't have to be a negative one. Just because we have an inner voice that's nagging away and just knocking away, doesn't mean to say that that's trying to just pull us back from everything. Rather, the inner voice is there to give us safety. It's so simple. Safety is the thing that it's there for. That's why we cannot be critical of it. We need to recognize it and acknowledge it. It's almost like when you have to park up a boat in the water, you have to put down an anchor, right? It's there for safety. So with that, like a lock on a door, it's there for safety. You don't want to get rid of it. You want to recognize and acknowledge it, but build from there. The safety can then, of course, mean that after that, you can be very, very positive in life. Another thing to do with it is to externalize the voice of it, right? Give your critical inner voice an external persona or name, separated from what you are doing. Distract yourself from this inner voice and say, yeah, okay, I acknowledge that. I recognize those criticisms, those possibilities. Then go, hey, look, that's coming from a safety point of view. And then you can say, right, I still want to do this. I want to be daring. I want to chance something. I want to go out and create an opportunity for myself in life. That's my brakes over here, but I want to, go ahead with that. Right? kept my inner voice in mind by acknowledging it. But now I'm externalizing the voice by giving myself a separate persona. This can help you distance yourself from this inner voice so that you can actually take the brakes off, unlock the door, so that you can take the anchor and just go and flow away from this trappings of the inner voice. Always though acknowledge yourself that when this is happening or when you're putting this into place, that do question its validity, the inner voice that is. So take from the point of view of the safety, right? Like whenever the critical voice speaks up, ask yourself if what it's saying is really true. Okay, so you can rationalize it, be objective towards it. A lot of what we can do with our inner voice is just pull ourselves aside and not exactly try to look at it away from us, but just look at the words that are coming up with regard to what the inner voice is saying and the tone of what's being said as well. It's a safety anchor, it's a lock, it's a feature that's there for you that's not going to go away, by the way, but you can be reasonable with this. So question its validity so that you can use it to help you, and it can be in the back of your mind as you go forward and try to progress and do things that you truly want to do, and rather than having that conflict of the inner voice dragging you down once you're trying to actually go ahead and it's pulling and pushing, it's push and pull and all of these things, rather than that, question the validity, and you'll finally see in many instances that the validity, it's not valid in many ways. It's just overly safe, overly cautious. And so you can release yourself of the trappings of it in many instances, but it will be there each time you try to progress and do different things. Try to practice self-compassion because it will be there. So therefore you have to acknowledge it and you have to kind of go, well, all right, you're not going to go anywhere, so I may as well be happy with you, right? It's there for a reason. If the worst choice was made by you in your life, don't ever say the inner voice didn't say, hang on a second, do not do this. This is the worst decision you can make in your life. If you do this, everything will end. If you do this, everything will go bad. And it's a permanent state of badness and ending. So therefore, I'm the inner voice. Listen to me. So by practicing self-compassion for that potential worst case scenario, most of the time, the inner voice, you can reason with it, you can question validity, and you can practice the self-compassion. Think of patting it and going, okay, I understand what you're saying. I'm patient with you. I can step away from it for a second or for a little while. I can analyze it. But all the while you're treating yourself, because your inner voice is your inner voice, you're treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would do an offer to a friend. So welcome it. Know that it will be there and then that it won't pull you back. Positive affirmations. These counteract negative self-talk. And when I speak about this and we're going off and I'm talking about negative self-talk most exclusively away from the inner voice, no, I'm not. But the inner voice, if we continually listen to perhaps we call it safety of the inner voice, then what can happen is that we don't take action. We don't do certain things. We don't progress. We look back and we regret things. We say, oh, if only I did that. It was so simple to do. I look at it now. Everyone else did it. Why didn't I do it? And now I regret things. Rather than doing that, that's allowing the inner voice spiral out of control. If you can check it, do all of the things we've spoken about already, and support it with positive affirmations, because there will potentially be a lot of negativity coming out of that inner voice. So if you can cushion it around with positive affirmations, then you're creating a list of good things that you can react to the inner voice, even when it will continuously come up and rear its head in the future. When you get into scary situations, when you get into situations that could potentially be damaging to you. So if you have this list of positive affirmations created specific to the situation, specific to your feelings and the way you react to things, but then you're cushioning it and you're allowing yourself to progress when that inner voice comes along despite it being there in the first place. Focus on progress as well. Instead of trying to aim for perfection, just think of, can I go forward a little bit more. Think of a very controlling or very caring parent. Control and care can be together if they're very protective. Maybe you're a parent yourself and you want to protect. That's normal and natural, right? But the minute as a child that you can kind of get away from the clutches of all of that and get a little bit of independence, you feel great. You haven't upset the parent, you're still caring, you don't want them to feel very bad about things, but you feel you've got a little bit of independence, which therefore gives you this feeling of progress. In other words, maybe they told you not to go away from the house for more than an hour, you've got an hour and 5 minutes. That extra 5 minutes probably is a feeling of great independence, more so than the first hour, because you've slightly bent the rules, you've slightly decided to just go off your own intuition, and it has worked, and that's progress. So little mini bits of progress are going to be not just progressive, but beneficial, and it means that, hey, inner voice, you're over there, I am in control of my actions here as well. Mindfulness and meditation will also help you, because if you practice mindfulness and meditation, it creates this distance from your thoughts. I mentioned the analogy of cushioning around the inner voice. This is definitely what this does as well. It creates a kind of bubble as such around the inner voice, so that if you think of transparent bubble, you can look at things through and you can look at the inner voice, but it can't get to you because there's that bubble in between. So it gives you that space, that gap, that freedom. And by practicing meditation, the beautiful thing is it continues to evolve, it continues to make you even clearer. And when things are thrown at you externally, the inner voice goes, oh no, here's how you need to react, be safe, do this, cautious, negative. You can come from a point of view of having this huge bubble, transparent bubble where you can look through, see the inner voice and go, okay, take what you're saying, but it's not going to disrupt my plans, because I'm still going to go ahead and do this or make a situation better in doing things differently and so on. Lastly, cultivate gratitude. Have gratitude around the inner voice and say, thank you for being here. Same as having a friend. This is the most knowledgeable, wise friend you will ever have. It's there for you to say, at one stage, I will be correct. That's what the inner voice is saying. I will be correct. And because we all will die, so the inner voice will eventually get to you in that way. And you have to go, well, okay, you're right. Hands down, you won the game of cards, and that's it. But there's a hell of a lot of years in between where you can enjoy yourself, where you can take opportunities, you can make opportunities, you can take action, you can go out there and meet people, you can do things you know you can do. And that's what life is all about.
So we've figured out how we can be so harsh on ourselves. So now let's look more specifically to see why your inner voice is so cruel. You're an idiot and you know it. You're no good. That is my cruel inner voice. I'm sure you have one too, but we don't have to listen to it. But let's deal right now with your cruel inner voice and see what it means. You see, that harsh, critical voice in your head can be exhausting. It's never good news. First things first is we need to understand where the inner voice is coming from in the first place. It's not random. It's coming from a couple of places. Number one, it's coming from past experiences. So if you've had, say, harsh parents, teachers, bullies, or societal expectations, unfortunately, you are so intelligent, your memory is so long, these things stay and have some form of trace in you that it can be triggered in the moment by not necessarily a teacher or a parent or a bully, because you may be an adult and you mightn't have any of those people around you, but it can be triggered by a word they would have used. A parent said something, they had a phrase, a teacher did something, maybe they used their hands in a certain way, they looked like them, or indeed something, the time of year, the smell, the sounds. By triggering, you're right back into where you felt. And this is tough. Perfectionism is another thing. The belief that you must be flawless to be worthy. And it's not true. You're beautiful. So why not be that? It's going to help you now and in the future. It could be also fear and protection. We have this natural urge to protect ourselves. We don't want to be being insulted or aggressed towards why we want that. Sometimes the inner critic tries to keep you from failure or rejection. Then there's challenging times, like call out its lies. If that inner voice is saying things and it isn't true, rationally you know so, your cruel inner voice is in truth not going to tell you the truth always, because it can wind up distorted thinking. It can exaggerate failures and minimize successes. It can have an all or nothing mindset and saying, I always mess up, and are you good enough for extreme things and thoughts that are being said. It can also have negative biases. The brain, you see, remembers criticisms and compliments, and it can wire it back in through your memory to the present moment to flicker back towards you and give you that jolt where you feel the cruel inner voice coming along. But in truth, it's mixing up positive words with negative, and suddenly you're confused. What do? Well, you can write down your thoughts. You can see it on a piece of paper and know that, look, that's absolute junk. That's not true. That's not real. Rationalize it. That's where our thinking brain comes in, and it can be our friend. That then feeds back into the subconscious, which will be your inner voice later on. So the more times you do these exercises, such as writing down things and rationalize them, the better it will be in the longer term. Would I say this to a friend? Ask yourself that question. Like, if it's my head and there's a voice there, surely it's going to be my friend, or at least guide me in some way. So I'm going to guide my friend, haven't I? Give them the best advice that I know for them. So would I say this to a friend? If not, why say it to yourself? It just doesn't make sense. So reframe it. Instead of, I'm failing, try, I had a setback today, but look, I can learn from it. Because construction of the future and giving a plan to ourselves is what we love in our brains. Our prefrontal cortex loves planning, and it loves making sure that we have something to go towards our goals. So we're taking the negative, putting it on paper, looking at it, and then summarizing towards ourselves and promising ourselves in the future that we're going to improve. That's a good thing. And the reality is, our voice may sound like ourselves. It's just negative. But we can replace with a kinder voice. So if your self-talk has been cruel for years, it can still be done. You just have to be stronger with what you're doing right now and in a more positive and supportive role. It won't change overnight, but thankfully you'll be here longer than a few years. So try to start training now. Be consistent. Use affirmations so that if you're really challenged, really tired, and lacking energy and nutrition, and that's when the thoughts, they really become loud, the negative ones, and they can guide you to do silly things and things you know you'll regret, but you just can't help reacting in that way. The affirmations will come in and they'll bash them up, because they are the ones that you are pushing. You have the energy to do that. I am learning and I am growing. Yeah, by saying something like that, you're admitting the past wasn't the best place for me, but I am going to have a better future. Celebrate small wins and notice that when you have them, you can build, make the small wins bigger, make it to a brilliant success for you in the future. It's about reframing your thoughts, making them more positive and positive constantly in the future. Then you can make sure that you are not your thoughts. Like, your inner critic is just one part of your mind. It doesn't own you or define you. So if it's talking to you loud and proud about negative things and making or trying to get you to be down and do things you know you'll regret, you can grab it by the throat and say, look, okay, that's just that talking. That's not me. I'm the guy with the hand. I'm the person who can control things here. So you can then use softer things like mindfulness to get the stress levels down. Because even if you're not going through a stressful situation at work or at home or your relationships or in your personal life and your health, there can be a accumulation of things that have gone on and you didn't realize. You thought you floated through, but you're not off the hook right now. So you need the tools like mindfulness to observe your thoughts without then reacting emotionally.
Shifting your focus is giving you a welcome distraction. It's strengthening the positive voice. What you focus on grows, and it truly does. Instead of like battling the inner voice 24/7, waking up in the middle of the night, not getting any rest from it, you need to start using your pen or pencil, journaling positive experiences and tracking your wins, naming them like a league table in sport where you can see the good times and see the bad times, actually counting them, and you will improve. The wins will make sure that the negatives and the losses are going the other side of things. And you know what? There's down the middle too. You can have draws where, okay, I tried to be positive, it didn't work, but it didn't work out too badly, so you're on the up. Be gracious about the things you can control. They will increase because you, at the end of the day, through being a small child, going through the parent problems or with a teacher or whatever else, even though you're small and energetic and you listened and you looked, you knew that you didn't have power. So you processed it in a way to just survive and get to the next moment. You had no experience. Now you're stronger, you're bigger, you're an adult. This is it. So you have the control over those thoughts. So if you surround yourself with supportive people, you can even have a conversation, show them this video, blow it up for yourself so that it can be the standardized foundation of where you're going to work from. Watch this video 10 times, watch it many times, or go and make sure something that was said in this video helps you in the future, that you're redirected towards some other form of help. That would indeed help me help you even more. And I'd be very, very happy that it's helping you and others around you. Lastly, try therapy, deep work, because the things like cognitive behavioral therapy will give you techniques as well as going to the basis of what's happening, and so that you can get further along the line and be good to yourself with your self-talk and that critical inner voice. It's there to help us, but not to hinder us. And I'm hopefully have helped you. And if I have, thank you for giving me of your time and knowing that my voice could replace the critical inner one. And hopefully in the future, we'll get to see it face to face. Who knows? Before we move on now, we have to realize that there are times of self-sabotage going on. So let's find out now how to escape it.
It's a habit I can't break. Or can I? We're looking at that, how to break habits and your destructive self right now. One of the things in the research by Robbins and Costa has been that the difficulty with breaking habits in the first place and seeing your self-destruction is that everybody has a different definition of what a habit is. But how can we use what we know generally about habits to stop us from self-destructing? One is to self-reflect and have more awareness. Start by reflecting on your thoughts, your behaviors and patterns, because we all have them, right? Obviously we have thoughts. We have thousands of thoughts every day. We don't, by the way, have to pay attention to all of them. This creates behavior, and then there's patterns. People can see these little patterns. They know that a good friend could say one little thing and that's a trigger, and so suddenly we're going down that path, our thought pattern, and one thing leads to another, and they can kind of set us up. We can do the same thing for others. But if you're self-reflecting on this, you can see that trigger, you can step away from it, and you know, hey, I'm very weak on that. I wish I was not that weak, but I'm weak in that area. I know it seems obvious, you can become extremely self-aware of it, but you need to pull back, otherwise you'll go down that alley like a long, fast train, and you can't stop yourself. It's just too attractive. The pattern is well worn. The path is grooved and ingrained there on the sod. So you need to pull back, see the trigger, recognize it. And I mentioned friendship. Those around you can be ones that help you from self-destructing. If you tell them, if you have a laugh even about their personal triggers and your personal triggers too. By doing that, you're helping yourself by allowing others, and you're also helping them as well. So it's a good thing. Secondly, identify specific habits to change. Hey, look, my weakness is this, friend. Can't you see it? Give me a ring, give me a call, give me a text, whatever, with regard to when this trigger is hit, because you know there's only a certain amount of time. So if I have those habits to change, what have you? You're opening this friendship, you're opening the loop, you're continuing to improve for you, for them. And if there's very specific habits to change, once you get into the nitty gritty, you can identify those and the behavior then will change around it so you can improve and focus on one at a time. Why? Because you want to stop this feeling of overwhelm. You already know that you're the center of attention in your world and you need work. And so you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself while you're doing it as well. You need to also understand the root causes, like cognitively. When you sit down with friends, when you self-analyze and become aware of things, you need to be able to just calm. Rather than actually it being a moment of being triggered, you need to be able to just go maybe on a sheet of paper with a pencil or pen, draw it out or write it down where you go, look, the root cause is because in the past this happened to me and now I have these little behaviors, right? Just accept it. It mightn't be that there's a link between what happened in that root cause specifically towards your behaviors. They might be completely irrelevant and you don't even need to self-analyze that. But if you've suffered a trauma, if you suffered something really big or a pressurized situation, and again, you don't have to say that to your friend. You might say, I wonder why I do this. I always wonder. Behind it all, you might know, they might know, you might even talk about it, and that's okay. Rather than introducing that trauma, there's no point. It might be embarrassment or shame from that, that's okay. But if you understand that root cause, you can explore the underlying reasons, beliefs, and the drive that's pushing that habitual self-destructive button as such. Another one is to very carefully challenge your limiting beliefs, often with cultural references or religious beliefs or even beliefs about your gender, your sexuality. We might think, hey, because I'm this age, because I'm this colour, because I'm from here, this is what I need to do. Why? Because everybody in my age group gets married. Everybody from my culture does this at a certain time of life and I'm now at that, and so on. But rather than that, you are an individual. You are unique. We're trying to get to the triggers that limit your abilities. If you have the ability, therefore, you should be pushing yourself down that track. It can often be that someone in your age group, your culture, your gender, whatever, is limiting themselves. And we're all limiting ourselves. In fact, we are truly all limiting ourselves in many ways. So challenge your limiting beliefs. You've one go at the merry-go-round. So challenge and reframe your negative or self-limiting habits and reinforce what you know you can do in a very positive way. In doing that, then, of course, you will achieve and you'll feel better and you're growing. And in doing that as well, another thing you need to do is set very clear goals. Now, I've mentioned the word specificity. No, I haven't, because that's a new word. If I mentioned the correct word, that would be more specific. There is where we're at. If you're specific, though, and clear with your goals, you're allowing yourself to see a path which is attainable, which you can measure, which you have strengths towards. Then you can be able to break into those aforementioned negative patterns, those triggers, those self-limiting beliefs. Make your goals very relevant as well and time-bound so that you can increase accountability and track your progress over time. By then replacing negative habits with positive alternatives, you're allowing to identify positive habits and actions or even activities that can replace your negative habits. So choose behaviors that will be linked in with what truly you value in life, and these support your long-term goals. That way, it's not like career on one path and one objective, and then life goes on the other. Rather, the two of them merge. it's much simpler. You're doing things at one time in a 24-hour period where we all feel we lack time. You're doing two things at once at the same time and feeling great about it because it's chipping away at two lists, one a career list and two a life list. So if you can align as closely as possible with your true intimate values, you're going to be able to help yourself in the short and longer term. The next thing then is creating supportive environment. You want people that want to see you grow around you, rather than having people that are pulling you back all of the time, negative. A lot of that stuff is on them. It's not something that you need to worry about because that's their own negativity. Sure, there might be familiar people in your family or maybe friends that you have to be around for a certain amount of time. There might be an economic link with that. But just because you got to be around them, for example, with birthdays or Christmas or things like that, it doesn't mean to say you can't put them on a timer and go, right, I need to spend the majority of this day with somebody else or even on my own because I need to reframe all of this negativity because it's from the past. And now I need to create a supportive environment for myself so that positive change is possible. If you're around the wrong people, you won't have that all of the time. Rather, you'll be pulled back in the longer term as well. Practice mindfulness, self-compassion. I mentioned that if you went away on a big day like a birthday or Christmas, you have to get a supercharge of the time that's alone with yourself. So change your brain waves, meditate, go and do deep breathing, journaling, increase your self-awareness and presence in the moments that you have alone. I remember 2020, I was alone on Christmas Day and I did such positive things, supercharged me throughout that winter, and it was a real great personal time for me. So if you have that self-compassion, use it for yourself to develop in the long run as well. Break the habit loop. We're often going, hey, habits, but if we know and recognize that we have triggers, it's going to happen again. We know that it's almost like a fear that it's going to happen again, but if you can break that loop, and if required, do go and seek professional help. It's worth it. You are gold. In the long run, you will thank me, maybe. You'll certainly thank yourself. If you want to thank me, you can hit the subscribe button. If not, though, please do. Have a wonderful day.